Okay, let's get started. So say thank you once again for joining us wherever you are in the world today. I know we've got people logging on from across the globe. We've got some people from Hong Kong, I can see, some from Vietnam, from Malaysia, from Thailand, South Africa, a few from the Middle East, and even one from the UK. I'm joined today by Tyrone Siren, who's actually joining us from the United States this afternoon. Well, this very early this morning for you, Tyrone. How are you today?
Doing fine, thanks, Matthew.
Excellent, good stuff. So how it's going to go, guys, I'm going to give you a very brief introduction to the Holborn assets for those of you that are new to us. I'll then hand over to Tyrone, who's going to talk in a little bit more detail about our citizenship division and talk about the changes to the Portugal program and what we can do going forward. At the bottom, you'll see there's a Q&A button. I would encourage you to put your questions in there as you think of them, but what we will do is cover them off towards the end. So just type them in as you think of them, and we'll cover them off once we get to the end of the presentation, which should take no more than 30 minutes. So first up, a little bit about Holborn. So we were established in 1998, a global leading financial services company. We have circa 20,000 clients that we service from our 13 international locations, supported by getting on for 450 personnel. Still a British-owned, family-owned company, and we offer a holistic approach to our clients' global needs. Today, we're talking just about the citizenship and residency division, but we also do wealth management, international real estate investment, insurance, tax planning, and much, much more for our clients. But I say we're talking today about the residency and citizenship program, where we help individuals and families meet their global mobility goals, helping them get the freedom to move around the world that they want. We have a great global partnership of governments, law firms, financial institutions, property developers to make sure that you can help you meet those citizenship needs as smoothly and efficiently as possible.
Matthew.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you might be muted.
Oh.
I can hear you, but we just got a note saying that they could not hear you.
I'm not muted. This is an issue.
Okay, no, okay. Somebody just came back and said it might be the one gentleman then who sent a message. I just want.
Okay. So okay. I'm not muted. I'm not muted.
Okay. Carry on, sir.
Okay. So I mentioned we've got 13 locations around the globe, and these are where we're based. Have an office in the UK, UAE, in Dubai, and that's our head office. We're in Hong Kong, in Vietnam, Cyprus, we're in Spain, just about to open in Saudi Arabia, in the USA, Thailand, Australia, just opened a new office in Portugal, in South Africa. We have a number of offices, and Malaysia, where I am today. And with that, I'm going to hand you over to Tyrone, who is best placed to talk you through the citizenship program. So Tyrone, please take over, tell us about it.
All right, thanks, Matthew, and thanks for that nice introduction to Holborn Assets. I think that's one of the things that makes Holborn stand out is our global reach, and that we're able to help clients wherever they're at and have somebody on the ground to assist them. Look, I'm going to just take one moment to briefly discuss the different types of programs that Holborn offers through its citizenship and residency programs. And I think that'll give some clarity to exactly what we're talking about with the Portuguese Golden Visa. So essentially, we offer two types of products. One is a citizenship program, which is essentially straight to a passport. You make an investment or a government donation to, oftentimes it's one of those small Caribbean islands, and you get a passport in 4 to 6 months. Wonderful programs. They're great passports. They allow you global mobility to travel visa-free to Europe, Russia, China. But oftentimes, these are not the countries that you and your family would relocate to. They're simply a travel document. Nice countries, but they're more for travel documents. On the other hand, we offer another set of products called residency products. And in Europe, we often call these golden visas. And these are usually in countries where, people do relocate to. They want to send their children to school there to study in English languages, or, they want to take advantage of the healthcare systems there. So these are residency programs, and they do lead to passports, but they take a bit more time and a bit more commitment, time commitment. So they take a bit of financial and time commitment, but they do result in a passport also, if that's what you'd like. Or else you can just kind of keep a residency permit, which allows you to, live in those countries and benefit from the social services. So today we're going to talk about Portugal. And Matthew, if you can move on just a bit. Next slide, please. Well, yeah. So Portugal is, of course, based in the European Union. And the reason I mentioned this slide now, and we show this, of course, it's always good to just locate Portugal on the map in Europe, but also that Portugal is part of the European Union, which you do get some European Union benefits and EU benefits from having either hold the Golden Visa and then eventually your Portuguese citizenship. One is that, if with a Portuguese Golden Visa, you're allowed to travel around the Schengen area, which is most of these countries in the EU. And eventually, once you, if you decide to get Portuguese citizenship, you'd have the right to live and work in all the EU countries. So, just because you get your passport, your Portuguese passport, you'd still have the right to live and work in France, or Italy, or Greece, Germany, any of those. So we're going to discuss a bit more of why we choose Portugal for the Golden Visa program over some of the other countries like Greece or Spain, for example. So next slide, Matthew. Next slide, please. Okay, now the reason we choose Portugal, or I'd say, of course, you can choose any country, and we do like all of our European partners equally. Actually, if you just go back one, the benefits of Portugal are quite significant because of its flexibility, and that's what we like the most about it. So, not only is Portugal just a wonderful country, to live in. It's one of the safest countries in the world. It's got some of the cleanest air. It's got some of the most beautiful beaches, some of the most interesting, lively historic cities, great European lifestyle. But from an immigration perspective, it really does an amazing job, and that's because it offers so much more immigration benefit than a lot of than say Spain or Italy or Greece. So, for example, there's a very clear pathway to permanent residency or citizenship after 5 years. Now, to go back, a Golden Visa allows you to live in Portugal. It allows you to use their healthcare system, your children to go to school there, and allows you visa-free travel around the Schengen, EU zone. But it's a residency permit, that has to be renewed. Citizenship, on the other hand, that which you could apply for after 5 years, would be an actual passport, and it doesn't have to be removed it doesn't have to be renewed after that. It allows you to, and then you can, live permanently in Portugal, or you can live permanently anywhere in the EU. But the best part about this program is that it doesn't require you to stay a long time in Portugal. Now, Portugal is a wonderful place to relocate to and spend a lot of time there. But a lot of us, we're not packing our bags today, or we're not able to pack our bags today and move to Portugal. Maybe that's on the horizon. Maybe it's 2 or 3 years from now. We want to relocate to Portugal. So in the meantime, Portugal only requires that you spend 7 days a year there. 7 days a year over 5 years, or a total of 35 days in order to qualify for the passport. Now, if you compare that to, say, Spain, which requires you to spend 6 months a year there for a period of 10 years, or Greece, that requires you to spend, again, 6 months a year there for a period of 7 years. You see that this flexibility that Portugal allows, the ability for you to, make a slower transition to relocation there, or, not ever really fully relocate there. So, that is a real benefit, I think, for you, as you're probably got a nice job somewhere. Maybe you're in Dubai or in Hong Kong or in Thailand, and you want to work a few more years before you make that move. The other thing is you can bring your spouse and your children and even your parents, and I think that's a real strong benefit. is that you can really bring your whole family, and everyone in the family can take advantage of the social benefits, the education and the healthcare. So it really offers quite a lot of flexibility and quite a lot of benefits, and it's a fast processing time. It usually takes about less than 1 year. If we started today, I would think by the end of 2022, you should have your golden visa in Portugal and be through the entire process. Which sometimes a year sounds like a lot, but trust me, it goes very fast. And that's very fast processing time by international standards. If you look at most programs in the world, they take much longer. Okay, so that's why we tend to recommend Portugal, because of its flexibility, because of all the benefits, and because it is just a wonderful place. Now, there's been some changes to the program as of January 1st, and I think I want to clarify those a little bit, because you'll probably go online and do a Google research, do some Google research. So you're going to see a lot of different information where maybe you'll see agencies who haven't updated information from last year, or you'll see different. So you'll probably get some mixed information. What we have here today on the next slide is the most up-to-date information from the Portuguese government. We'll stand behind this as accurate information as of today, and so that we can move ahead with confidence. So if you do go out there and do some research online, like I recommend you do, you should look around, and you see different information, please ask us about it, because like I said, it's not that somebody's trying to intentionally mislead you. They might just not have updated their information, because the golden visa policies changed on January 1st. So this is from the government website and from our lawyers. They've looked at this and approved it. So let's talk about a little bit about what the changes were, what stayed the same, and how we have a project that's uniquely positioned to, I think, still offer the flexibility at the right price point for you, the client. So essentially, just to break down very easy, on January 1st, basically the prices went up on the golden visa, on the investment amounts across the board. As all things in life, prices go up. The prices hadn't really changed since in the past 7-8 years. I guess it was kind of just that time. So you'd see, as you can see here, a lot of the minimum investments went up for the fund. It went up from 350 to 500,000. Some of the other options, like capital transfer, went to $1 million to $1.5 million. But the other major difference that I think directly affects investors the most, our clients the most, is the location where you can invest. Before, you could invest in residential properties anywhere in Portugal. And, the three most popular areas have always been the two major cities, Lisbon and Porto, and then, the major tourist destination of the Algarve. So it's not possible to buy residential properties in those locations any longer. However, it's still possible to buy real estate, and that's what we want to look at today. It's still possible to buy residential real estate, and we've been preparing for this change of policy for more than a year. So we've worked some very nice properties where you can still have basically all the same benefits of a residential property. You'll still get a title deed. We can still find prime locations, for example, in the Algarve, just minutes from the beach, so that your investment is, still at a very good price. In fact, we're still going to be able to do investments at 280,000. So we'll have, kind of the lowest possible price. So that's the major change. And so it won't be as easy as, going to Lisbon and finding that condominium that you've always dreamed of, or that, that downtown heritage apartment, and purchasing that. You'll have to be a bit more selective and work with people who really know the property markets very well in Portugal, and locate properties that do qualify. Our properties absolutely qualify. They'll be again, they're commercial kind of long stay apartment hotels. So you'll be able to buy an apartment unit still and own that property full out, and still only have to pay where we're going to be at is 280,000. And these are, just to clarify, these are refurbished properties, which means they are existing properties that are more than 30 years old, that we will completely refurbish and make modern and new, and usually bring up to about a four-star level apartment hotel. So that's the major changes, and it has limited, I guess, some of the properties that you can choose from, the sort of investments you can make. But honestly, what I would like to say is most of our clients, and I think most people in general who are considering Portugal, even if they're dreaming of that downtown Lisbon heritage apartment, it's not really what they need. And that's another advantage of Portugal. As I mentioned earlier, it has the flexibility. You only need to spend 7 days a year there. So more than likely, you're not packing your bags and moving to Portugal tomorrow. So, you don't necessarily want to buy a residential apartment that you'd have to take care of. So we usually offer, these kind of investment long stay apartment hotels that are managed for you, turnkey solutions, where you get a nice return on your investment. You don't have to worry about it. And then after a couple of years, if you decide that you do want to move to Portugal and buy kind of a lifestyle property, you'll be better situated and better positioned to choose a property that best fits your needs. So I'm happy we shared this chart with you in a bit more detail. We'll have a one-on-one to discuss what the changes were, but essentially you can't buy residential properties in the key locations anymore, but you can still buy commercial properties. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and especially at the lower price point of 280,000. All right, next slide, please, Matthew. One more slide, please. Okay, I'll just quickly go through these slides. Portugal, over the past 10 years, has proven itself to be one of the best property investments in Europe, and maybe stability. So it continues to grow. A lot of our clients over the past 7 or 8 years have seen their properties increase, by 5 to 7% a year. So it's been fantastic, and it continues to grow. I think Portugal is kind of become one of the most popular destinations in the world right now for expatriates, for digital nomads. So property values, any property investment in Portugal, particularly in top locations, I think is a very solid investment. I don't think you can go wrong with it. All right. So a little bit about our background, and you can see some of the properties that we have sold in just the past year. We had an incredibly successful year last year. I think we submitted about 10% of all applications, Golden Visa applications last year. Very successful. Here's just 4 of the projects that we worked on last year. All of these 3 of these projects were located in the Algarve, very near to the project that we'll talk about today. And then there was another golf course in the more northern part of Portugal. But you can see we did quite a few investors, and this isn't just to talk about how many investors we've had, but you can see the sorts of properties that we've had. These are long stay holiday properties that we completely manage and give a return to our investors. And when I mentioned how many clients we had last year, how many we processed, I think that's important because we have a great team. Between our partner developers, our lawyers, our accountants, our Holborn team, we're really good at processing your application. I never want to say we've seen it all, but we've seen a lot. So if you have a question, do you qualify, or how do I get this document? We usually have a pretty good idea of how to help you out with that. Because really we've been through a lot of cases over the past years. So, and we're quite efficient. We oftentimes get bank accounts, for our clients approved in a few days, whereas, sometimes it can take months for people if they try to do it on their own. And same with most of the process. We can bring it down to just weeks rather than months. So we really have a great team at Holborn, and our partners are excellent. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the property today, because I think that's, of course, the most exciting thing. First of all, it's located in the Algarve. We can move on to the next slide. Well, in fact, here, let me just start. Here's a picture of the actual property and location. So the building centered in the top where you see the rooftop, that's the actual property we're talking about today. It is a refurbishment property that's more than 30 years old. It's an existing property, so it's not off plan, so there's very little risk as far as construction. When you buy it today, it does have value today. People are staying there, and it's just minutes from the beach too. It's just a lovely property and a great location. And it's located in the Algarve, which is again the southern tip. Next slide, please. The southern tip of Portugal. It's the Algarve is that province there, and as the Algarve just runs along. Has usually I think it's some of the most beautiful coastline in the world. But I think many people would agree with that too. It's really a beautiful place, and it's here's some great photos. Has those kind of stunning cliffs and red cliffs that go into the sea, and it's famous also just again it's a top holiday destination for not only Portuguese but Europeans, Northern Europeans, Germans, British people love to go there on holiday because the weather is perfect. It's mild, it's never too hot, never too cold. Every day is sunshine almost, and a bit breezy, and great golf courses. It's got several Michelin star restaurants. Cost is quite low, for quality of life. And so it's a really great location. And again, there's three major economic zones in Portugal. You have the two big cities, Lisbon and Porto, and then you have the Algarve. I mean, that's where all the action is at in Portugal. This property is located in Albufeira, which is the most bustling city in the Algarve. It's where all the nightlife is and the restaurants and as well as some of the finest beaches in the Algarve, and just it's not far from the airport. So again, we're right kind of in the heart of all the tourist action in Portugal. There's a property there, as you can see. Again, it was minutes from the beach. Here's actual photos of the Algarve, so you get kind of a mix of nightlife and also tranquility on the beach. So again, here's the property. Let's talk a bit about that. It's a long stay apartment hotel with a total of 60 units. So it's a fairly large building. It's more than 30 years old, and we choose these refurbishment properties, one, because we can get the price down to 280,000 euros, but also I feel it minimizes the risk by investing less money. It doesn't matter if you invest 280,000, 500,000, or a million euros, you get the same golden visa. You're processed at the same speed. So, I recommend normally that, because these are kind of what I call special purpose immigration properties, that these are packaged up to get you your golden visa and eventually your citizenship. Why not go in at a lower amount at the 280, 300,000 euro mark? And, if you have extra money that you want to invest, Matthew and the other Holborn wealth managers and financial advisors will be able to recommend alternative investments. So you can diversify your risk, go in at the lowest point to get your golden visa. Okay, so the properties that are available, again, in this particular property our range of price from 280 to 325. The 60 units, we still have quite a few left. We have some available at 280 still, although they're selling fast. Some of the benefits, again, we really had our golden visa investors in mind when we did this. The developer will guarantee a 3% return on your investment. So if we keep things easy, we'll say you buy a 300,000 euro property, you'd receive 9,000 euros back in per year. However, what they've done, again, to minimize risk, is pay that full 5 years interest up front. So after you make the full purchase, you have to pay the full 300,000. you would get 5 years rental returned to you right away. So, that's 45,000 euros that you would get returned. So on a 300,000 euro property, essentially you're laying out about 255,000 euros. Now, again, I think this minimizes your risk. That way, you're getting your return. You don't have to worry about it in a few years if you'll get your return. With all these properties, there's no management fees, there's no maintenance fees. No one's going to call you in the middle of the night, say the toilet's broken, send 1,000 euros. That's all managed for you. And again, so it's not only we are trying to minimize the risk, we're trying to minimize the headaches too. So you don't have to think much about this. You've got your return, your property's being managed for you. There's no expenses that are going to pop up. And most importantly, again, we package this with the Golden Visa clients in mind. After 6 years, the developer will buy back your property at the price you paid for it. So if you paid 300,000 for it, they will buy it back from you at 300,000. And to even kind of give you more control and options, is they have an opt-in clause in the agreement, which means at year 4 you can choose if you want the developer to buy back your property. So that means that after 4 years you realize that, wow, property values have just really gone up in the Algarve. My property's doubled in value. I'm going to sell it on the market and take profit. Great, that's wonderful. You can make that choice. If you decide, after 4 years, I don't want to try to sell the property on my own. I'm busy. I've got lots of things going on. I'll just take my money back. I'm happy with it. And you can do that also. So you can just take the guaranteed buyback. So again, you minimize risk. That even if the property lost value, if there was a property downturn, you'd still get the money back that you invested. So once again, we're trying to just package this up to minimize the risk and make it as simple and headache-free for you as possible. And on top of that, you get 2 free weeks a year at the property, which you can use when you're spending your 7 days a year in Portugal. So you can kind of think of it as a family vacation. You can't find a nicer place to take a vacation in the world, probably. And so you can spend it in your apartment and also then, meet the requirements that you spend 7 days per year in Portugal. All right. So that is kind of the financials of the property. As you can see, we released this property just this year. It's a fresh property that we saved for the new year. And, we still have quite a few properties out of the 60. We've sold about 10, and we have a range of prices from 285 up to, what do we got there? I think we still have some at about 325. Yeah, we still have a few 325s. Still have properties on most of the floors. I think the pool level, the apartments next to the pool are pretty nice. But they're all good properties. And again, sometimes, of course, you want to be excited about your property and really like it, but you also sometimes you just remove your emotion from it too and realize that these properties are serving a purpose. You're not going to relocate your family there. So you want to find I think one of the better properties in this building, but know that, it's a purchase that's going to be managed for you. Maybe you'll spend a week, a year there. But we can go through the detail and go through the floor plans with you on a one-on-one meeting. If not after this, then we can set up a private call or a private Zoom meeting with you to really go through the details of the property. Okay, I'm just going to summarize there and let you ask some questions. As far as the project goes, I think the highlights are we keep the investment just about the lowest point you can get in Portugal, but at a prime location. It's an existing property, so there's no risk, construction risk. We will refurbish it 100%, so that adds value to the property. And again, there's no extra cost for that. If you pay 300,000, that's all your payments. We have a buyback guarantee. The apartments I forgot to mention, are fully furnished with brand new furniture, flat screen TVs, very nice. No management fees, no maintenance fees, no hidden fees, no surprises. We have a great team. That's all I can say. We have over 450 approvals, very well oiled. and wherever you're from and whatever questions you might have, we can help you through them. Then, of course, look, Portugal's a great place. It's you get education, you get healthcare, you can bring your family, very fast processing time, and most importantly, if you want it, citizenship after 5 years, and EU citizenship, and the ability to travel around the world visa free, and live and work anywhere in Europe, and you get there pretty easily, just spending a week a year there. So I think Portugal's a wonderful place. I've been in the immigration business this is my 14th year. I've sold projects and properties all around the world, and a lot in the US. But I have to say, I think at this point in time, there's no better immigration program than Portugal. It just absolutely, at this price point, does more than any other program in the world, at any price point. It doesn't matter if it's €1 million. I think Portugal really does stand out. It's a wonderful place too. So,
excellent.
Thanks for listening. And
absolutely fantastic. We've got some questions coming in already, but guys, if you have any questions, now's the time to type them. You can put them into the Q&A box. It makes it easier for us to capture them. But we've got a few in already, so I will run through them. The first one is regarding the healthcare that's available in Portugal. Is that immediate? So do you qualify as soon as you get the Golden Visa? So on your visits, are you qualified to use the healthcare system?
Yes, you are. So there's as soon as you're approved for the Golden Visa, you have access to the public healthcare system, which is quite excellent. A lot of people choose also to get private insurance, so you can go to the private clinics. That insurance is only a couple €100 per year. As an American, I just find that amazing, and I think that's why a lot of Americans are considering Portugal also. So yes, and it's I think it's ranked number 14 in the world, the healthcare system, and basically at no cost. So excellent opportunity for people around the world.
Excellent. There's a question here about do I have to buy a refurbished property, or do I buy it from somebody else? I think we've answered that towards after you asked the question. Yes, you're buying a refurbished property direct from a developer.
Right.
Here's a really good question. When will the buyer get the deed? So someone buys the property. At what point do they get the deed and they're the legal owner?
Sure. I should mention there's not many requirements for the Golden Visa, but there are 3 major ones. One is that you buy a property. So that's the major requirement. And to do that, you will get a deed, and we need that deed before we can apply for your Golden Visa. So typically, say we start the process today, I would say it usually takes 2 to 3 months to put your application together and to purchase the property. So you'll get the deed before we actually submit your application. That's one of the major requirements, along with having a clean criminal record. And those are the major requirements for it. So you'll get the deed right away, and you'll be able to put it in your files.
Excellent. Here just come in via the Q&A. What if I want to live in the property? Am I allowed to?
Well, that was one of the major changes with the policy on January 1st. Is in these key areas, residential properties are no longer allowed. So you would not be able to live in these properties full time. But if you were Portugal Dreaming and think to relocate there, you could look at getting another property and even using your Golden Visa property as leverage to purchase the properties. To get a bank loan and at a very low rate. But no, you're not able to live in these properties any longer. These are for rental commercial uses.
Okay. There's actually another question that's just come in that it really goes into that. And someone said, why does this qualify? When you said that residential property doesn't qualify, and I think you just answered that in the same way.
Right.
Because these are residential property. It's a hotel apartment, so technically it's commercial property.
I guess anymore you might call it an Airbnb hotel.
Absolutely. So it's going to be managed by the developer, but it is legally a commercial property. It's
that's right.
Like if you're British and you've been on a holiday to Europe and you go in a self-catering apartment, that's what this is. It's a self-catering apartment. Is there a limit to when you can use your 2 weeks? I'm going to guess that super peak season will not be allowed, but do we know what the exact blackout dates are?
Right. Typically, you're right. You can't use it in the peak season. That being said, if you can schedule well in advance with the developer, oftentimes you can get those seasons. But plan ahead. Don't just pop up on the middle of July and think that you can walk in. But usually it's on the off seasons. But if you plan ahead, you can usually get in the peak season as well.
Okay. Question here: after 5 years, will I own the property at no further cost? Let me know that your answer to that is
yes. So you own the property in the beginning. Of course, it's your property in your name. If once you take care of your immigration, if you decide to go for citizenship, you no longer have to own the properties. So you don't have to pay the developer any extra money to take over the property. You can sell it. If you want the developer to continue managing the property for you, you'd work out a new management agreement with the developer at that time. I think in pretty favorable terms.
Okay, excellent. Does Portugal allow dual citizenship?
Yes.
Simple answer: yes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Another question that's very easy for us to answer: is the property freehold or leasehold? Leasehold just simply doesn't exist in Portugal, does it? It's freehold. So you mentioned the investment can change to 500,000 euros, but we purchased only 280. What is the legal standing on this? Well, 280,000 is one of the tiers. 500,000 is for a new build property. It then comes down to 400,000 if that's in a low density area. Comes down to 350 if it's a refurbishment program, and comes down to 280 if it's a refurbishment program in a low density population area. Those are the rules, so that it's quite clear. Those are the rules. Do we know what exactly is the definition of coastal area? I know it's very easy for Lisbon and Porto, but have they set out a very clear definition of what is a coastal area, or is it a little bit ambiguous?
No, it's actually fairly clear. The government has released a map that shows exactly where you can no longer purchase residential properties. Okay. But also, on the other hand, they've also shown where you can purchase commercial properties. And our property is in one of those zones.
Excellent. For the person that asked that, if you want to see exactly that map, please do speak to your Holborn wealth manager, and we can source that for you.
Sure.
Here's another really good one. Once I become a resident of Portugal, is there any impact on my global tax status? Am I going to have to pay tax on my income?
No. Portugal has a non-habitual tax program, which means you do not have to pay tax on your global income. Any income earned in Portugal, you would be liable for Portuguese tax, but for there's no global tax.
What are the stipulations for parents joining the application? Are there any age cutoffs, retirement requirements, income requirements?
Yeah, so there's a few. If your parent is under 65, you do need to show some sort of dependency, and oftentimes you can do that by starting 2 or 3 months in advance. Start sending your parents $500 a month or 500 euros a month, just to show that they're dependent on you. And then 500 euros seems to be the magic number that makes everyone happy, or show some other sort of dependency that they live with you. If they're over age 65, there's not really any requirement to show dependency. So it's fairly straightforward.
Excellent. So that's what is the tax rate if you live in Portugal? I think I'll answer this one. So whilst you're non-resident, there you pay a flat rate tax, which I believe is 28%. Once you become resident, you pay a progressive tax rate. But there's also what Tyrone just mentioned, the non-habitual tax regime, and it's a little bit complicated to get into in this. If you want someone to explain the non-habitual tax regime, which is when you do move to Portugal, for the first 10 years, you enjoy the non-habitual tax regime, which makes it a little bit more attractive. Please speak to your Holborn advisor. We'll talk through it. It's a little bit complex to answer in this kind of forum. If I apply, can I add family members at a later date?
Yes. In fact, that's fairly common to do that.
Okay. Do we have an idea of what the education costs are in Portugal?
Yeah, in fact, we have I have a friend who recently moved to Portugal, and I'll just give you an example. This is a real example. Has three children, one preschool age, 3 or 4, middle school age, you're 12, and then high school, 15, 16-year-old, going to the finest school, international school in the Algarve. Total cost for those three children, I believe, is about around 27,000 euros, which and that's for the, he's told me it's just a beautiful campus. I mean, it's just world class, and that's for the finest international school in Portugal. So for those of you, particularly in Asia, I think we know what international schools cost in Asia. That would maybe get you 1 year of tuition in Asia for one child, but you also have access to Portuguese public school too. I mean, if your children are younger and you're interested in them learning Portuguese, there's very low fees. There's a few school fees that go with it, 800, 1,000 euros per year, and you would have access to that too. So excellent education system. So anywhere from the public education system, which is essentially free with maybe a few fees there, all the way to world-class international English school education at roughly 7 to 8,000 euros per 7 to 10,000 euros per child, depending on the age and the school. Very reasonable.
Somebody's asking if we can look at properties that are in the interior, not in the coastal areas. But what I encourage you, please speak to your Holborn advisor. We can source properties in other regions. We don't have them to present because we'd have to source them to your brief and your budget. But yes, please do speak directly to your Holborn wealth manager, who will liaise with the team and see what we can find with what you're looking for. There's a very interesting question here, which I'm not sure how to answer. I'm going to throw it over to you. If a program is applied to a family, what would happen in the case of a divorce prior to the 5 years of completion?
Okay. Well, do we want to talk about the divorce or just about the immigration? I'm joking. What happened? No. So what would happen in those cases is you would still, and I think this is where certainly you want to bring your immigration attorney into this, to work through this issue, because there would be some change of status. Typically, you would be able to hold on to, everyone would be able to keep their golden visas. But again, talk to the lawyer about this. I mean, this is critical. I just can't stress it enough, because these can be sometimes a little bit complicated. You should be able to hold on to your golden visa during that time. And then eventually, when you got to the 5-year mark and you want to apply for citizenship, you should be able to carry on with that as well. But again, I can't stress it enough. If that looks like something that's going to happen, that unfortunate situation will arise, please talk to the immigration lawyer early on so you can start planning for it and get the best advice from them.
Over here, just to clarify that all the insurance, local council fees, government tax on the property are covered. So as far as it goes for the management of the property, yes, there are no hidden costs. You're going to get that 3% fixed return, no hidden costs. There are, however, some taxes on the purchase of the property. If you want to get an exact quotation of exactly how much this is going to cost you over and above the investment, because there are fees, there are legal fees, professional fees, you have to pay tax to the government, please speak to your Holborn advisor. Will give you a very detailed quote of exactly what is payable at what stage of the program, exactly down to the last few cents. It's a very, very clear, very, very open, nothing hidden quotation. You'll see exactly what it is. I think we've almost covered everything there, unless there's any last ones to come in. I think we're just about done, Tyrone. So, look, right, everyone, I'll thank you once again. Thank you all for joining. I hope you found it useful. If you want to get anything specific about properties, taxation, quotations, how it would work for you guys, the legalities of the process, please just give your Holborn advisor a call. They will set up either a one-to-one with Tyrone, or if you're the other side of the world, someone else that can speak on your time zone, and we can talk you through it and help you get through the process. So once again, thank you all for joining. Tyrone, thank you for a really, really good presentation.
Thanks, Matthew.
I hope you all enjoyed it, and we're going to end the presentation there. So thank you very much.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.